faces here. Thank you so much. Tizkei mitzvahs. Just to give people a bit of a vision of where we're going to be doing a little series now in our bigger series of loving Hashem, loving God, developing love for God, developing also love for yourself, being able to love yourself, which we've been speaking about. And that's going to take us a little bit of time, and we're going to do that inside the Tanya. And then, if people haven't heard yet, but in about 2 weeks, we're beginning a time called Shovavim. Anybody know what Shovavim is? Shovavim is a very special time. It's literally a Rosh Hashanah for the parashas in the beginning of Sefer Shmois, Yera, Boi B'Shalach, Yisroi Mishpatim. And these are times of the entire journey of Klal Yisrael, going down to Egypt and coming out of Egypt and receiving the Torah. A very, very powerful time of fixing things. Fixing any things that might have happened to a person. Specifically in the world of holiness and purity and bris. Fixing, but I'm saying like fixing from previous reincarnations. Like high-level tikkunim are available during this time. So at that point, we're going to go into our series, because we've been doing the 6 constant mitzvahs, that the final of the 6 constant mitzvahs is lo yisasuru acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem, is to learn how to guard our eyes, and how that's actually a constant mitzvah. And we're going to see some wild stuff about what it means to guard your eyes. You know, they say about the Abu Chatzera family. Anybody Moroccan here? Yeah? So the Abu Chatzera family they're known from the Baba Sali and the Yaakov Abu Chatzera, the great Abu Chatzera dynasty. They have Ruach HaKodesh all the time. They're filled with the spirit of basically prophecy. And one of the things that when the family it's a known thing, but the family was asked, like, why are you guys just so good? Like, why do you have such special connection to Hashem? One of the big things in the whole Abu Chatzera dynasty is careful with the eyes, what the eyes see. Because the eyes are very, very deep things. That's right. The eyes and the heart, we're going to learn, are very deeply connected. The eyes are very, very big. So learning to use your eyes in a holy way. And not, God forbid, your eyes are not, hefker, we say. They're not just, the eyes are very, very precious. And the eyes take things in, the eyes see things. And those things that go in don't just go away so simply. A person has to be careful with his eyes. See, it's interesting to note that eyes themselves are also the most sensitive part of the body. Like, you can't touch your eye. It's very like, oh my goodness, an eye? It's not like touching the cheek. Touching the eye is a very sensitive area. There's no other place like the eyeball. It's an interesting thing, right? It's like an eye thing. Even in Jewish law, you're not allowed to take basic medicines on Shabbos, right? It's called refuah because there's a concern of a person doing what's called toichein and maybe grinding herbs, etc. So the Gemara says, though, but if a person has an eye problem, he can take medicine for it. Because the Torah says if a person has a serious medical problem, of course you could treat it. You can do anything for serious problems, essentially. You can't do adultery or idol worship, but you're allowed to break Shabbos if a person is deathly ill. Because the Torah wants you to break one Shabbos so you can keep many Shabbos because you're still alive. So what if something is not such a severe body thing? Are you allowed to break Shabbos? Not so severe. It's a chayla she'ein by sakana. A little bit sick, but you're allowed to take something for it, so generally, no, you're okay. What if it's an eye problem?
You can break it.
You know why?
Because it's a blind person considered to be dead.
The reason you could break for an eye problem is because the Gemara says that eye problems are not localized problems. Eye problems are systemic problems. Eye problems are serious problems because your eyes and your heart are deeply connected, which we'll talk about, why the eyes and the heart, which is very deeply connected to why when a person sees things, his heart gets involved with those things. And therefore, if a person has an eye problem, it means there's something, God forbid, wrong with his heart. And therefore, we take that extra seriously, and he'd be able to take medicine for the eye. Because an eye problem is not a small thing. An eye problem is a serious thing. So as we transition into the world of Shovavim, we're going to be learning a lot about the holiness of our eyes, and how to guard the eyes, and how to and learn the blessings that are bestowed upon a person when they have holy eyes, when their eyes are holy, and they have the kedushas of the einayim. So you see a little bit the journey that we're going on. So now, if people have Tanyas, there is one of the most famous chapters in the Tanya that every single person has to know this chapter. You got to know this chapter in the Tanya. Okay? It's Perak Mem Vav. Mem Vav is Gematria. I already made a bracha, so I'm just continuing with my green juice here.
36.
Mem is how much in Gematria?
40.
Chapter 46. Chapter 46 in the Tanya. The Baal Tanya is talking about, this is the section where he goes into meditations, about how to have certain meditative techniques to draw you into a raptured love with God. And one of them is the following. So I'm going to read a little bit. This is like classic Tanya. V'yesh derech yashar lifnei ish shaveh l'chol nefesh. There's a very, very straight and good way that is actually available for every person. You know, a lot of Kabbalistic meditative techniques are not available for everybody because they can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, like they say. My brother's a chef, gewaldig. So, that's what they say. So too, if it's a lot of heat, they can't handle certain meditations. But this is a meditation that everybody could handle. The Karav Hadavar me'oid me'oid. And it's very, very close to a person, meaning it's so available for us to achieve this. It is a Kabbalistic meditation. This meditation in order to arouse love for God. La'oyer or la'hoyer oira ava. In order to arouse and to illuminate the light of love. Hatkua umisuteris beliboy. Look at these languages. There is a light, there's a love, Shalom brother. There's a light and a love that is deeply rooted in our heart. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Very smart phone here. There's a very, very deep love, Shalom brothers. Welcome. There's this deep, deep love that's rooted deep inside of our heart. Now, earlier on in the Tanya, I'll just give you guys a little bit of background. The Tanya explained that there's two levels of loving God. There's a level of loving God that you kind of rev yourself up with very, very advanced meditations, and you could achieve like ecstatic levels of God connection. There's another level of God, loving God, which is you don't need to form any new love. Why? Because you guys know where we come from? We come from Avraham, Yitzach, and Yaakov. We come from the forefathers, Avraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And because we come from Avraham, Yitzach, and Yaakov, they had such an intense love for God, like mega intense love for God, that we talked about this morning. Remember the mango tree? That if the mango tree produces, avocados, like on one of the branches, you don't say like, "What's up with you, mango tree? Like you're so racist. You know what? You don't make avocados? Oh, you got something against avocados?" No, it's a mango tree. Like it has the DNA of a mango tree. It makes mangoes, produces mangoes. If you take a clipping, it'll be more mango. It's mango tree. That's the DNA of the tree. We're not upset at the mango tree. It's not racist that it doesn't make kumquats or lychees or tutti frutti, whatever you want. It's a mango tree, and that's okay, right? So too, a person that has a forefather that had DNA inside of them, and we're not only talking about physical DNA now. I'll give you a physical analogy, but I want you to pull yourself into a spiritual reality. Somebody that puts spiritual DNA. You know, we have a concept called schus Avos, called there's merits from our forefathers because they did great things, mega things. Was an example of one mega thing. It's a famous, the Akedas Yitzchak, thank you, that was the one I was thinking about. Mega. The binding of Isaac. Mega stuff. Abraham's fanaticism. People ask, are Jews fanatics? Yes. We're fanatics for loving kindness. We're fanatics for helping other people. We're fanatics for helping humanity. We're fanatics for giving. We give so much charity. We just love. We're fanatics for helping other people. Where does that fanaticism come from? Avraham Avinu. He was such a fanatic for chesed. You know how he ran his house? He had a tent that was open on all four sides, and he was loaded. He was rich. Where do you think his richness came from? That's right. A person who believes in Hashem, the money will pour in, Rabbi Isai. Speaking of which, you want to know another way to become rich? We'll do a whole shir on this, by the way. Because everyone's like, rich? Yeah, let's talk. So, Menashe, Netilas Yadayim. Wash your hands before bread with a lot of water. I don't mean this little, drip, drip. A lot of water. We'll talk about it, okay? So Avraham Avinu obviously was doing the Netilas Yadayim on a very high level as well. And he had tremendous trust in Hashem. And he was making moves in the world. And he had his tent open on all four sides. And he brought tons of people into his tent. And what did they do in the tent? They had a chassidische Verbrengen in there. There's Leibedik in there. Gewaldige Nigunim, Rikudim, Leibedik. There's fire. Geschmack. Divrei Torah. A chassidische Tisch. It's gewaldig. Cholent. All the good Sachen. With Kobe beef and Wagyu. The good stuff. And then you know what Avraham Avinu did? He said, the people said they had to pay. He said, don't thank me. He said, thank the one who made the food. Said, oh, whoa. Abe, that's deep. Avraham Avinu, whoa. You're getting me, like, free? He said, I'm also a guest here. Whoa, you're blowing my mind, Abe. It's deep stuff. Sorry, Avraham Avinu, I didn't mean to. Abe, I'm just trying to bring it down to the oilam. But you understand what I'm saying? He was a fanatic. He just gave, and he wanted to bring the world to an acknowledgement of Hashem. So we get that from Avraham Avinu. We get this amazing sacrifice of going beyond and beyond from Yitzchak Avinu. Yaakov Avinu. There's so much of truth, of Jacob standing up for truth. Only truth. And truth means, what does Hashem want? What's the truth that Hashem wants? So these are things that are put inside the spiritual DNA of a person. That's why, by the way, when a person has a great, great relative, don't be ashamed of that. Meaning, someone said, like, oh, I don't want anybody to know. Like, sometimes guys are like, yeah, I come from the Vilna Gaon. You come from the Vilna, it's amazing. That's so special. The Chavetz Chaim, there was students that he wanted to make sure came into the yeshiva, even though the yeshiva was mamish very, very full, because they were descendants of Rav Levi Yitzchak from Berditchev, the Kedushas Levi. And anybody who's a descendant, someone's going to tell me, so am I. A descendant of the Kedushas Levi, who was one of the greatest sages, tzaddikim, from 200 years ago. He always found good in other people. He always got people off the hook. He's called the Sanegar Shel Yisrael. He's like the ultimate defense attorney. Right? What are the best defense attorneys always doing? Finding every little limud schus of why you shouldn't be liable for the crime that was alleged against the person. That's a real defense attorney. Always finding that there was a good motivation behind it. So a person who has that in them, he said, I want them to daven with us on Rosh Hashanah. I need them. They have to be here because we all need merit. We all fall. We need to be able to see our own merit. So everything we're talking about now, a person has a bubby that she cried by the candles. Sometimes I think, how did we all get here? There's hundreds and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people around the world. They're coming home. They're doing tshuva right now. They're coming back to Torah. All of us, a full room of Yidden, coming home, wanting a relationship with Hashem. How many of you guys, if you don't want to say, you don't have to, 3 years ago, thought you would be sitting in Yerushalayim, learning something called Torah, the wisdom of God? How many of you thought that you'd be doing that 3 years ago? How many thought you for sure, not even on your mind, 3 years ago? 5 years ago, yeah. Everybody. So, but you're here. How did that happen? It's amazing the amount of stories that you talk to people, how did you get here? I was plucked by my payas and I was transported over here. I literally didn't see this coming. Or many people say I was involved in the worst stuff. We shouldn't know of such things. I don't know how Hashem saved me. I was going on a trajectory that was not, I don't know if I would have been alive. A lot of people are in crazy places right now in the world. So what gave somebody the merit? Why are we here? That we're now here learning Torah. We're connecting to God's infinite wisdom. So I'll tell you, a big part of it is that many of us probably have great-great-great-great-grandmothers that somewhere in Europe, or somewhere in Morocco, or Spain, or Egypt, or Saudi Arabia, wherever we were, or Iraq, that were crying. They were crying over the Friday night candles that they were lighting. And they saw that the world would go into a very, very challenging, dark period. A period where people would be running away from their Creator. And our great-great bubbies and Safta Rabbas, great-great-grandmothers, knew that there would be a need for those tears. And even though that our great-great-great-grandmother's tears by her Friday night Shabbos candles, they weren't needed for her or her children, but she saw with some prophecy that there'd be a time that those prayers would be needed. So she put something into her DNA that carried down, like we call it a dormant gene of sorts, that can get activated. There's types of things like that, like a stealth gene, I think it's called, where the sequence will be in a stealth mode, and then it could pass and be inside of a person, and all of a sudden it just activates, and then it comes out. That those prayers could be in a stealth mode, and that generations later it could activate, and all of a sudden one of us have some merit. That we go, a rabbi says, you want to come to a Friday night dinner? I was going to the movies, but he's like, there'll be good food. It's yeah, I was going to catch some, whatever, stuff, steak. Well, good wine. It'll be co-ed. Okay, yeah, fine. Okay, Friday night. Okay, I'm in. And then at the end of the meal, so he says, we're having a trip to Israel, and you're welcome to come on. And all of a sudden, one thing happens, and a person he doesn't even, how did I get here? Or this person called that person, and all of a sudden you're sitting and you're learning Torah. And the person starts thinking about your whole trajectory, everything, all of life. Where did those thoughts, where did those opportunities come from? So many, many times it's something called schus Avos, the merit of our forefathers. And by the way, when you daven now, you're not just praying for yourself. You're praying for your children, you're praying for your children's children, you're praying for all the generations. That's why a person who thinks that way is like, oh my goodness, I should take a Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv more seriously. Like, I got responsibility. Like, my great-great-grandchildren are going to need things, and I'm the one that's got to be responsible for them. So this is the introduction to something that we're about to arouse. We're going to tap into a certain fire, a certain love that's inside of us, but it went dormant. And I'll give you one more thing to think about the idea of praying for your future generations. We know that Yaakov, Avinu, the third of the forefathers, so his son Yosef, when Yosef was taken away and then put in the pit, and then he was taken down to Egypt, and he was given to the house of Potiphar. And what happened in the house of Potiphar? He was challenged over and over and over again. Eshes Potiphar would put on new outfits every single day, many times a day, to seduce him in different perfumes and different things, just to make him stumble. And he withheld himself. And it says the last time that he was almost about to succumb, as close as could be, literally as close as could be. And it was about to happen. It says that he saw something. What did he see?
His father's face.
He saw his father's face. It says also he saw it in the window, in the chaloin. He saw his father's face. Now, it's interesting because the Torah teaches us that Yaakov and Yosef looked the same. They looked alike. So, yes, he saw his father's face. That's one level of understanding. But the second is, he saw his own face as a father. He saw, what kind of person will I be as a father if I do this? He saw into the future, and every single one of you guys that are going to become fathers, Mitzvah Shem, to think, am I the person that I'm proud to be the father with what I'm doing? To see yourself as a father, to already see yourself as the one that's going to be providing the merit for the next generation. The Torah allows you to think big like that, to think very, very wide. Okay, Rabbi Yisai, we're on a journey together. We're about to go deeply into this world of loving Hashem and this piece in the Tanya. We should mamish be zoiche to unravel and pull that love from a dormant place, hopefully to a blazing place inside of us, and activate that dormant DNA, that it should be alive, mamish, the love and the fire for Hashem. And Bezrat Hashem, that fire is going to stoke the fires on the Mizbeach of the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi with Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'mhera V'yameinu. Amen. Have a wonderful day. Kol Tuv.